what's happened in the last video.
Saisaka-san!
And here is more MrDudeManSir.
Huh. Well, that's a thing. Cool, I think. Score, maybe? I don't know. Having arrived in front of the Saisaka's house, Omi takes a deep breath to calm her nerves. Her anger doesn't abate, of course, but she knows that it won't help to be enraged that she can't even say what she came to say. While waiting for a response from the intercom, she looks over the patch of yard that she can see from outside the gate. Even Omi isn't sensitive enough to complain about the other people's housekeeping, but this is beyond the pale. The grass is growing wildly and there's piles of dead leaves everywhere. It doesn't look unintended, it looks like an uninhabited ruin. It's still light out, but every window has its rain shutters tightly sealed. Omi guesses that they weren't just shut early, but have been closed since morning. So what kind of life is he leading? Even if he is no longer has a family, this level of negligence is way too far. And is it just their imagination or does something stink like rotten meat? It couldn't be coming from a yard, could it? No, it's coming from the subconscious, but it's fine. There's still no response, so she presses the buzzer again and again and again. Finally, after this has gone over for 10 minutes, Omi loses her patience and opens the covers of the intercom. As she expected, the power had been disconnected. Maybe Fuminori cares more about being bothered by the newspaper deliveries or solicitors than about receiving a rare guest. But regardless, Omi doesn't presume to know his motivations. With her anger reignited by what she could only see of lack of respect for others, she ruthlessly pushes open the gate and stomps through the yard to open the front door. Given the state of this intercom, she doubts that Fuminori will respond to a knock, so Omi decides to simply open the door and go in shouting. And if the door is locked, she'll just have to... Surprisingly, the doorknob turns easily in her hand, and the enraged Omi finds herself throwing the door open wider than she intended. Her nostrils are instantly assaulted by a choking stench. And what is this? As Omi stands petrified, the cowbell ringing on the inside of the door chimes loudly, probably alerting Fuminori to the presence of a visitor. Welcome home. Omi can't believe the voice she just heard coming from the room at the end of the hall. It was clearly inhuman, yet its intonation was too complex to have been made by an animal. Is someone there? There is no response. Instead, she hears the squishy sound of something soft and wet flopping its way deeper into the house. Finding it difficult to place a meaningful image to the voice she just heard, Omi stares blankly at the empty vestibule. There's nothing inside, not even Fuminori's shoes, which can only mean that it's still outside somewhere wearing them. If Fuminori isn't home, the house should be empty. Then, what was that noise just now? Her anger was vanished as if it was never there. Leaving the door open so that the cowbell won't ring, Omi sets foot into the hallway. Has it just turned into a stereotypical scary movie where she's just gonna walk and chase it and she's gonna get killed by this blob of flesh? Cool. Floor creaks, setting her nerves on edge. Omi herself isn't sure why she's sneaking around like a burglar, but something tells her she makes as little noise as possible. The potency of the stink inside the house makes the whiff she caught outside a pale in comparison. It's sickening, like piles of fish guts have been left to rot. As food had been left out to spoil in the kitchen, she also notices a sound coming from the end of the hallway. Stepping gingerly on the creaking floorboards, Omi makes her way to the end of the hallway. She finds rooms to both sides of her, one lit, the other dark, and chooses to look into the lit room. Wait a second. Wait 1 second, write me out. I'm going to start conjecturing right meow. Since Fuminori is gone, usually there would only be one other person in this room, and that would be Saya. Saya is the only person that Fuminori sees clearly, and he sees everything else as gore. Maybe she's a gore pile herself. So, yeah. Maybe that's what it is. So he's been having, pedophilic sex with a gore pile. I think that is basically spot on. It's the kitchen, lit by what must be the only window in the house, not covered by a storm shutter. The sound she heard was the pot boiling in the stove, and a chopping board next to a live butcher's knife and some half-diced carrots. A perfectly normal household scene, with the light of a setting sun making everything the color of an overripe decomposing fruit. There is something terribly wrong, of course. Who is cooking here? And just where did they go? Is someone here? Omi calls, regretting it immediately as she realizes that her voice is shaking uncontrollably. As the words echo vainly through the silent house, she begins to feel foolish and defenseless. Suddenly she feels something cold seeping through her stockings. She timidly reaches down to touch her feet, her fingertips coming away covered with vicious olive green slime. The slime is like the filthy water from a tank clogged algae and dead fish. The whole floor is covered with it. It must be the source of the stench. Omi wishes that she had worn her shoes inside. Managed are the farthest thing from her mind. When she looked back ruefully at when she came, she realized that her current position is not visible from the entrance. This kitchen must be where strange voice and those sounds and movement coming from. The next room must be the den, as she expected from having seen the storm shutters closed. It's pitch black inside. Omi wants nothing more to do than turn around and leave the house, but that would mean turning back to the darkness of that room, and turning back to that loud car, something which she could not bring herself to do because cars do not like their backs being turned to them. Oh. Oh wait, so the green slime thing wasn't actually paint? That is paint, right? No? Oh dear. It's actually slime. This is the Krusty Krab all over again. Moved less by the reason that some irritational compulsion only set foot into the living room. It is too dark to see anything, and the stink is far worse than ever before. She slides her hand along the wall, feeling for the light switch. Finding it is much faster than she expected. She flips it on like this last hope. Colors. So many colors. The purple of entrails, the brown of rotten meat, the crimson of fresh blood, the yellow of fat. These colors, and yet more that could not be described, join in a maddening array to cover every inch of the walls, floor, windows, and ceiling. It's like a painter went over the room with a what is that word? Megalomaniacal precision, leaving out the tiniest portion untouched. The colors say all that needs to be said about the painter's hate, malice, and insanity. Omi's legs give out from the shock, sending her into the floor. The slime covering the floor immediately soaks into her jeans, its cold tendrils creeping into her legs, crotch, and her neck. Her hand flies to her neck where it is greeted by another drop of chilling slime. It's above her. Something is dripping down on her head. Making perhaps the worst decision of her entire life, Omi looks up. The predator clings to the ceiling, mere moments from leading upon its prey. She sees it in every detail. Her mouth and nose are slit before she can scream, and her belly is torn open as something enters to feast her innards. By the time she feels any of this, Omi has already gone mad. What in the world just happened? I do not understand. Saya? What are you hiding? Saya! I'm coming home. Ask some questions now. I bit the bullet and tried to take the train, but the rush hour crowds are so bad that I had to get off halfway and walk. I'm running pretty late. I wonder if Saya's worried. I just hope she's not mad. When I entered the yard, I realized that the front door had been left wide open. Light from the living room is seeping out into the hallway, and I can hear the sounds like someone is smacking their lips, and there's a tantalizing fragrance in the air. Is it Saya? I consider calling out to her, but decide to enter in silence instead. Something smells strange, but not at all unpleasant. The aroma is quite soothing, in fact. It somehow reminds me of Saya's hair. Oh no! I'm pretty sure that Saya is some sort of monstrosity. At first I'm surprised with what I was seeing in the living room. The floor is covered with what looks like to be some sort of grass, probably the source of herb-like smell. And there are fruit and vegetable-like balls of various sizes scattered everywhere. Saya? Ah. Saya turns around, her eyes wide with surprise. She then looks away sheepishly like a child caught in the prank. What are you eating? This is, well, she stammered so flushed that I felt so bad for her. Remembering that she was never eaten in front of me before, I realized that she must be quite embarrassed. I suddenly feel like I've done something awful, as if I'm a low-life peeping Tom. Can I have one? I scoop up the closest fruit thing and pop it into my mouth, ignoring Saya's attempt to wave me off. It has a strange texture. It feels soft and pliable, like a peach or a pear. When I bite into it with the back of my teeth, a succulent juice fills my mouth, combined with a sharp, strong fragrance. It's unlike anything I've ever tasted. How did you prepare this? Did you use any seasoning? It wasn't that complicated. I just took it apart and then melted it, and it's easier to eat. It's practically raw. Oh. I pick up a different lump, this one consisting of fruity flesh encasing a hard core. Tearing a chunk off in my mouth, I find that it's a similar taste to that of the last one. Hey, are you okay? That's yeah, even I can eat this. In fact, it's great. Really? At first, Saya looks dumbstruck, but soon she starts laughing mirthfully. Aha! Oh, so this is what you like. Now I feel stupid for going all that trouble. Is this what you always eat, Saya? Yeah, though it's been a while since I had one so big. I usually catch them in places like a nearby park. There's an impressive nature preserve not too far from here. I've never been and heard of anything about fruits like these growing there, but well, of course. They only look like fruits to me. They're really something else. Sorry, I already ate all the best parts. Oh, that's okay. There's always next time, and this means that we can eat together from now on. Yeah. Saya seems really happy. I'm happy too, of course. Eating with someone is much more fun than eating alone, and it makes the food taste better too. There's still plenty left, and it'll keep chilled for 2 or 3 days. It won't taste as good though. Then you better start putting it away. Sealing the small fruits from the Tupperware and the large ones in the pots and bowls, Saya and I store the remaining food in the refrigerator. Thinking of tomorrow's dinner fills me with anticipation. Together with Saya, I feel that I'm beginning to gain the joy of living my life little by little. What in the world is going on? Saya will guide me. With her, I can live on. That is probably one of the most morbid scenes I have experienced in my entire life. But of course, I secretly like it. True Scary Stories, Hospital Edition. Chapter 4, The Monster in the University Hotel, Hospital. Elite University Hospital research student K-san relates that his shocking experiences. Will you believe him or not? Strange things started happening at our hospital around the end of last spring. Many of times, patients would wake in the middle of the night screaming about nightmares. They all said that they had seen something unbelievable terrifying in their dreams, and many of them had sedated before they would sleep again. Some patients even transferred to the other hospitals because of it. The weird thing was that all of the patients had exactly the same dream, were dreaming about some horribly disgusting monster standing by their bed and staring down at them. But the really strange stuff started happening after that. There used to be a lot of stray cats hanging around the campus, looking for scraps from the students. One day, the cats suddenly started disappearing. And it wasn't that they stopped coming, it was more like they had vanished from the area entirely. And then people stopped walking their dogs around. According to rumors, it wasn't that the owners were taking their dogs elsewhere, but the dogs were refusing to go anywhere near the school. Eventually, things started going missing in the hospital. Organs, to be precise. Organs that could be harvested from transplants kept disappearing everywhere they would be stored. Some people even closed to their jobs over it. And it wasn't just 2 or 3 times that it happened. They tried to keep it for the research students, but we heard that it was a lot worse than that. People started spreading rumors that there was something living in the hospital. The janitors would find strange messes that could only have been made in the middle of the night. Traces of something had been crawled down the hallway, or weird stains on the walls that seemed to be caused by something dripping through the ceiling. Lots of the late shift curses talked about hearing strange noises on the same day that the patients screamed about nightmares. There's one last story, one you can never mention inside the hospital. One day the obstetrics department was totally crazy. They said that a newborn had disappeared in the middle of the night. If it were true, the police would have come and would have been all over the news. But they say the big shots managed to take it all away. It's just a rumor, of course. These strange incidents suddenly stopped towards the end of the summer. Now there are almost no patients complaining of nightmares, and the cats have started coming back to the campus. But still, what happened in the hospital that summer? Even now, just thinking about it gives me the creeps. Yep. Saya's bad news. She is obviously hiding something. She's got a lot of display at the door. Huh? Look, the phone is like, oh dear. Okay, phone, I am sorry, but I'm going to continue now. I was pondering about something, but I forgot what I was pondering about now because of that weird phone gibberish. So, nothing. This is the 3rd day that they've not been able to get in touch with Omi. There's no sign of her having returned to her apartment, and even her family doesn't know anything. Her parents have already filled missing persons report, but she's kinda dead and fruity apparently. Well, you know her. She'll probably just pop out of somewhere like nothing happened. Yeah, I hope so. Yumi replies with a gloomy expression. She's worried about Omi, of course, but the incident with Fuminori 3 days ago must still be weighing on her mind as well. Yu hasn't seen Fuminori since then. Fuminori hasn't made any effort to approach them. 4 people used to meet in this cafeteria between classes, but now there are only 2. Hey, Tono-kun. Let's keep thinking. Isn't there somewhere Omi-chan might have gone? No, Kyoji answers evasively. I checked them all already. It's a lie, of course. Kyoji knows where Omi planned to go that evening, but he doesn't want to bring Fuminori up in front of Yo. Their awkward silence is mercifully broken by the bell signaling the start of the next period. Well, I gotta go. Hasta la bye-bye. Yeah. If Koji isn't mistaken, Yo is supposed to have a class next period too, but she continues to sit there like she's in a trance. Unable to come up with anything to say, he reluctantly leaves the cafeteria. Both Omi's disappearances and Yo's depression worry Kyoji. Both problems lead back to the exact same place. What the heck is Fuminori doing? When Omi went missing, the first thing Kyoji did was question Fuminori. The last time he'd seen Omi was just before he stormed off to give Fuminori a piece of her mind after all. Fuminori had responded with his blunt, unequivocal denial, and he acted as though he hadn't been the slightest idea why Omi would have gone into his house. Perhaps that was only natural, as he was unaware that Omi and Kyoji had witnessed him reduce Yo to tears. In the first place, did Omi actually make it to Fuminori's house? She had been riding a wave of emotion when she left, and might very well have calmed down and changed her mind halfway there. Or perhaps she ran into trouble on the way. I'd say, you know, Sai is just a wee bit of trouble. Kyoji concluded, or more accurately convinced himself, that one of these possibilities was his truth, subconsciously denying that one remaining possibility. In other words, the possibility that Fuminori was lying, that he had met Omi, and he was involved with her disappearance. When questioned by the police, Kyoji only told the truth about Omi's destination up to the district when the train station, maintaining that he had no idea where she planned to go after that. He wanted to cooperate with the search, of course, but knew that Omi couldn't have made it to Fuminori's house. Fuminori said so himself, didn't he? In that case, he told the police everything they needed to know. Not wanting to get the still fragile Fuminori involved, he forced himself to accept this flimsy logic. But now the conflict was built up inside Kyoji without his notice, and the only formless suspicion towards Fuminori cycles through his mind. Kyoji is deep in thought, paying no attention to his surroundings, but perhaps this is all that allows him to catch sight of his friend's back with a crowd of milling students. Fuminori? At first Kyoji assumes that he'd been heading to the lecture hall, but it soon appears that he's instead going home. Strange. There should be required classes for medical students in the afternoon. Though he is initially surprised, Kyoji's hesitation lasts only a second. Kyoji follows his friend, taking care to stay far enough behind that he won't be noticed. Fuminori wasn't going home, as became obvious when he boarded the train heading in the opposite direction. Kyoji's next guess was that he was going to see the doctor at the T-University Hospital, but Fuminori read straight through the closest station. Where is he going? At first, Kyoji felt awfully foolish, rebuking himself for tailing his friend like this. But his conscience fell as silent as Fuminori's actions became more mysterious. The stranger it gets, the closer Kyoji gets to discovering the truth behind Fuminori's sudden transformation. Any knowledge would be welcome, no matter how slight. Even Kyoji is beginning to think that there must be something more behind Fuminori's change than the accident alone. He wants a more satisfying answer, one that will help him decide whether or not Fuminori can be trusted. Fuminori gets off the small station in a nondescript suburban area. Kyoji follows, trying not to lose sight of him amidst the other disembarking passengers. The station has neither a traffic circle nor a shopping street in front of it. The area is quite desolate, possessing only a small bookstore, a convenience store, and a market. It is easy for Kyoji to keep Fuminori in view. Fuminori seems to know them, those streets, you know, clearly intent on a single goal as he hurries through the residential neighborhood. Whoopsie! Get back there, text! What do I do? How do I do things? Oh, there we go, okay. Okay, right here. Fuminori seems to know these streets, clearly intent on a single goal as he hurries through the residential neighborhood. Carved out of the hills, the area was many slopes, and there remain steep inclines and wooded areas that escape assimilation. Kyoji, who moved to Tokyo to attend school, was amazed that such a quiet place exists less than an hour away from the city. Coolsies. Before long, Fuminori reaches the house, without ringing the bell or even knocking on the door. He vanishes inside, as though sucked into a vacuum, leaving Kyoji to wonder how Fuminori can treat the house as his own. After waiting to see if Fuminori will come back out, Kyoji approaches the gate and checks the nameplate. Ougai. Kyoji has never heard of anyone by that name amongst Fuminori's acquaintances. Next, his attention is drawn to the thick wad of leaflets sticking out of the mail slot, which, coupled with the general dilapidated feel of the place, suggests that it has been here long since abandoned. A small playground about 2 blocks away provides an adequate vantage point from which to watch front of Ougai home. Fortunately, it does not appear to be the sort of house that has a rear exit. Chiding himself for not stocking up on cigarettes, Kyoji settles down on a bench to begin his stakeout.